was Halloween night, and Emma was home alone. Her parents had gone into a party in town. Normally, she enjoys being home alone, but tonight was different. Tonight, the wind howled more fiercely, and the shadows seemed to dance with a life of their own. Emma had schizophrenia, a condition that sometimes makes her see or hear things that aren't there. She was used to the whispers and fleeing shadows at the corner of her vision, but they had always just been like that, fleeting. However, tonight, they lingered longer and spoke clear. As she settled on the couch with a bowl of popcorn and a scary movie, the whispers grew louder. "Emma?" they called, stretching her name into a long, haunting echo. She paused the movie and listened. The house was supposed to be empty, yet the whispers seemed as real as the wind outside. Trying to ignore it, she resumed the movie, but a sudden flicker of movement outside the window caught her eye. Peering into the darkness, she could see nothing but the swaying branches of an old oak tree in their yard. It must be the wind, she thought, turning her attention back to the screen. The movie was barely audible over the storm and had begun to rage outside. Lightning flashed, and for a split second, Emma saw him. Slenderman, a tall, faceless figure standing by the oak tree. His long arms hanging by its side. She blinked, and he was gone. With Emma's heart pounding, she told herself it was just her mind playing tricks on her. She had read about Slenderman online, a spooky story made up to scare people. It wasn't real. But another flash of lightning illuminated the figure again, closer this time, near the window, looking in. Emma froze. The whispering returned, louder and more insistent. "Emma, come here." She shook her head, trying to clear the visions, the voices. She knew they weren't real. They couldn't be. Desperately, Emma grabbed her phone to call her parents. No service. The storm must have knocked out the signal. Her only choice was to make sure all the doors were locked. As she moved from one window to another, closing blinds and curtains, she felt the unmaskable sensation of being watched. Reaching the last window in the hallway, Emma dared another look outside. The lightning granted her wish, and there he stood. No longer by the tree, but right outside her window, his blank face pressed against the glass. Emma screamed, stumbling backwards. The lights flickered, then went out, plunging her into darkness with the only sound of her breath and the ever-present whispers, "Emma, come outside." In the darkness, the house felt smaller, the walls closer. Emma was not alone. And tonight, of all nights, her visions refused to be just in her head. The darkness enveloped Emma like a thick, suffocating blanket. Her breath came in quick gasps, each one sounding too loud in the absolute silence that followed her scream. The whispers seemingly to multiply, echoing her around her, bouncing off the walls that felt too close. "Emma, don't hide." She scrambled for her flashlight, her fingers trembling as they found the cold metal. Flicking it on, a weak beam pierced the darkness, casting long, eerie shadows that danced with her every movement. The lights flickered, threatening to leave her in the darkness again, but Emma clung to it like a lifeline. With the flashlight in her hand, she decided she couldn't stay put, not with Slenderman, or whatever had been looking at her through her window. She needed to check the locks again to make sure everything was secure. The house felt different in the dark. The familiar hallways twisted into something sinister. As she moved cautiously towards the front door, the whispering following her with a menacing tone, she reached the door and confirmed it was locked, the deadbolt in place. The relief was short-lived as a sudden thud upstairs made her jump. It was as if something or someone had dropped a heavy weight. "Who's there?" Emma said. No answer came, just a continuous call of her name winding through the air. With her heart in her throat, Emma moved towards the stairs, her flashlight's beam trembling with every step she took. The stairs creaked under her weight, sounding louder than thunder in her ears. At the top, she paused, listening. The thud had not repeated, but the feeling of being watched had intensified. Turning to check the bedrooms, she slowly opened each door. The hinges groaned softly. Empty, empty. All were empty. As she approached the last room at the end of the hallway, her room, the temperature dropped, breath turning into mist in front of her. She pushed the door open, and her flashlight flickered once before stabilizing. Curtains billowing like ghostly figures in the wind. It was wide open. Emma was sure she had closed it. As she stepped forward to shut the window, A cold hand gripped her shoulder. Emma spun around, flashlight falling from her grip, its light snuffing out as it hit the ground, leaving her in pitch darkness. The whisper was right next to her ear now, chillingly clear. "You can't hide from me." The cold grip on Emma's shoulders tightened, paralyzing her with fear, her heart pounding in her chest, its beats echoing in her ears like drum beats in the dark. The whisper in her ear repeated, "You can't hide from me." With a surge of panic-driven strength, Emma twisted free of the grasp. Emma twisted free of the grasp and stumbled forward, her hands desperately searching the darkness until she found the flashlight. She grabbed it. The light flickered back to life as she pointed it shakily behind her. Nothing. The room was empty. The cold hand gone, as if it had never been there. Breathing heavily, Emma rushed to the window and slammed it shut, locking it swiftly. The storm outside seemed to be mocking her, the wind laughing as it rattled the glass. She needed to get out, to leave the house, but every rational thought was drowned by the pounding fear of the urge to hide. Instead of running downstairs, she darted into her closet, pulling the door closed behind her. Sitting in the dark, surrounded by hanging clothes that barely moved, Emma tried to control her breathing. The whispers were outside now, circling, searching. She held her breath, listening to them call her name, begging her to come out. As minutes passed, her fear began to mix with confusion. Why was this happening? Was it really Slenderman, the creature from the stories? Or was it her mind creating a horror far beyond reality? Emma knew her condition could conjure visions, but they never had been like this, so prolonged, so vivid. A sudden realization hit her. Tonight was not just Halloween, but also the anniversary of her diagnosis. Determining to face whatever was outside, Emma stepped out of the closet. The house was silent now. The storm had moved on. With the flashlight leading her way, she went downstairs to the living room. The digital clock on the wall blinked 3 a.m., the witching hour. As she stood in the center of the room, the whispers returned, softer now, almost pleading. Emma spoke into the darkness, her voice steady. "I'm not afraid of you. Show yourself," she said. The air shifted, and the room grew colder. Then, from the shadows, a figure emerged, not the Slenderman of her fears, but a distorted version of herself, faceless and sad. Emma understood then. It wasn't a monster she had been fearing, but her own reflection, twisted by her mind. With tears in her eyes, Emma approached the figure, reaching out as their hands touched. The figure dissolving into the air, leaving Emma alone, but stronger. The whispers faded away, replacing by profound silence. Emma knew they might return, but now she understood what they were, echoes of her fears, not of reality. She had faced them, and she had survived. As dawn broke, bringing light to her home, Emma felt a new day beginning, not just outside, but inside her as well.